Hey guys, Nick here, and welcome to the omniverse of Nick and the next episode to the Walking Dead Carsverse. Before we get started, be sure to smash the like button, subscribe to the omniverse of Nick, and stay tuned, hyped, and packed for the omniverse's future by checking out the homepage and commenting future requests in the comments section. With all that said, let's begin. We open up with a tyrannical war on the horizon, Dale versus Wolverine. And for context, this is the continuation, spin-off, and the true introduction to the Omniverse of Nick, leaving off from what started it with the Walking Dead Carsverse story, What If Rick Found Lightning McQueen instead of the horse? And if you guys did not watch that story or the other parts so far of the spinoff, check those out before you check this out. It is essential. So we open up with McQueen and Rick looking on in utter shock, terror, confusion at what they're looking at. And today we get to solve that and way more. What they see in front of them is fire, ash, carnage, destruction, as far as the eye can see, the minute they step out of the portal. And they talk amongst each other. They cannot believe it. This can't be their home. Could it? No. No way. For one thing, there's absolutely no way that their world got on fire this quick. They haven't even been gone that long, and time seems to go the same distance in both of their worlds, sort of. So they couldn't it be their world, and it's not McQueen's world because they were just there. So what is this? Could this be Dale's world, the Dale they ran into? Or could it be another world they have nothing to know about? And they decide the only way to figure it out is to keep moving. So they go on, and they're utterly terrified and speechless. The more they walk, the more they drive, the more they try to fly with McQueen and everything, there's fire and destruction and carnage everywhere. Almost nowhere provides a safe step for these two, and it almost burns Rick's skin completely off. They have to resort to flying with McQueen almost the entire time just to keep from being burned and completely incinerated. They're lucky that Rick didn't die the second they stepped through because, he's an ordinary man. But they managed to find some, I really stress some, safety, but it's barely anything. Almost everything they look at, almost everywhere they step, everywhere they go, everywhere they look, up, down, left, right, center, everywhere is covered by ash, ruination, fire, destruction, carnage, chaos. It's utterly mind-blowing. But then they do stumble upon something that catches McQueen's eye, and he tells Rick to come over at once. And what they see is a zombified, very melded, but they can tell who this is. Morgan. But he's not human. It seems to be Walker Morgan. And Rick, he has seen firsthand what Morgan can do looking like that. But this is ordinary Walker Morgan. And it just hurts him to see another Morgan like the one that he had his arm ripped off from and had to fight in his world. And, ripped out his eye and everything like that. And this has to be another world. Because if it's theirs, then Morgan, he's just so mind blown right now. But he unsheaths his prosthetic blade and kills Morgan. Rick says that while he thinks that this is definitely a different world, they also cannot place the bet that that's the case. Because, think about it for a second. True, that Dale came from a different world, but they also don't know yet if that is their Dale or not. They haven't gotten back there yet. So for this to for that to be maybe their Dale and for this to be their world, Rick doesn't want to go through any kind of function or thought that it is the way it is. But he also looks down in shame and sadness, saying that if they know what is to be true about Morgan and what happened in their world, and the fact that he is the only living creature since they got through the portal, it just really makes Rick insecure, uneasy, and very traumatized. But he does feel better by the fact McQueen tries to cheer him up. And if this was really their world, they would have figured it out a lot sooner. Think about it for a second. That Dale came out of nowhere. And if he came from another world, the after effects of his world, his portal creation, must have pulled in from whenever McQueen came to their world through that portal, and their world got the whole zombie virus and the walker virus. The contradiction and world building of that must have created some kind of paradox where this new Dale came in. And Rick, honestly, he never thought that he would be so smart as to think about other worlds. But he has no choice but to think about it. Since meeting McQueen, he's had a whole new experience with other worlds that it's honestly become second nature to him. So, what he means by all this is this has to be the world that Dale came from, and Morgan was his final opponent before he was pulled into McQueen's world. Because if this is their world, there is absolutely no positive way that in their world, they have no idea what happened in Dale's world. Although, if you watch the Dale story, yeah. Anyways, this Dale, the Dale that is in this world, must have been a version of Dale that went crazy like Morgan and ended up both of them squaring off to the end. But Dale managed to come out on top. That red eye, that shotgun hand, that pure unbridled fury, that unrecognizable way of looking at Rick, he can get if Dale didn't recognize McQueen or the Cars people. That world, Dale's world, must have been 1,000 times different than theirs. Meaning, it must be Dale's world. And Morgan was just the last person to be in there. And that's why he's barely even looking like Morgan. And that's why there's no other living creature. Because if it was their world, Rick guarantees that they would at least see way less fire and way more people, or at least walkers. Keep in mind, Morgan is the only, not only being in this world that they have seen, but the only walker. Everything else is just fire, ruination, and complete and total carnage. So Rick surmises, along with some help from Lightning McQueen and just their knowledge of other worlds, that there's absolutely no way. They just came from McQueen's world, so it's definitely not that. But Rick can guarantee either this is a completely new world, or this is the world that Dale came from. If so, that makes 1,000% sense why and how Dale was that strong. So, what they have to do now is figure out where to go from here. And McQueen thinks about this for a second, and what Rick's saying, he agrees with. Even McQueen has grown smarter over all this time. He would have never thought before Rick Grimes that the possibility of other worlds, let alone humans, existed. But McQueen, honestly, he agrees. But he also says, what do we do now? Like, the portal that we came through here is gone, and we can't go back. So, and we can't just fly around forever. What are we going to do? And Rick, honestly, is at a loss for words because he didn't think that far ahead. What they should have done is made sure that this time the portal remained open. See, when they were in Rick's world, it was easy to keep the portal open because there was management around it on at least one end, and that could have possibly left the portal open, which could also have been another effect from them using that portal. And since McQueen came through a portal and they used a portal, that could be another reason why Dale came through from another world, which is literally the exact reason why the omniverse exists in the first place. But that's beside the point. Anyways, Rick honestly doesn't know what to do now because McQueen's right. They don't have a portal to go back to. But Rick thinks if they keep flying around, if they keep investigating this world and maybe just stalling for some time, also to keep him from literally boiling alive, perhaps, if he's right, if he's thinking this through clearly, like that Dale, perhaps there might be a way for them to go through another portal that will lead them to a different world, or perhaps lead them back to McQueen's world or his own, where they were trying to go in the first place. So for now, all they can do is wait and see what happens. But just whenever he says this, a red portal summons itself right in front of their eyes. And they both look at it, and they both think, well, they can't stay here, and they can't try to get the portal back that they did go through. So, and there's nothing else in this literal burning freaking hell underworld type thing. So what other choice do they have? They don't know where this portal is going to end up. So what the frick else are they going to do? So yeah, they go through the portal. Meanwhile, in Rick's world, we pick up where we left off with Wolverine getting shot at by old Dale as Wolverine, was attacking everybody in the Walking Dead side of the world. When they see the red portal, but it's not Rick and McQueen. Someone else emerges through the portal. It's Dale, who escaped thanks to the likes of Chick Hicks and Jackson Storm. The Dale from my Dale story. The one who was so violent that it made the Dale and the Dale story look like a joke. That Dale found his way to the Walking Dead side. And Daryl and Maggie cannot believe it, along with everybody else who slowly gathers, seeing the deaths of everybody, with T-Dog and Alicia's dying self, and so many others, Glenn and all that. They cannot believe it. Two Dales? What? Well, how can there be two Dales? And even Wolverine has to back up for a second and be like, what am I looking at? Even this evil Dale, or Wolverine, cannot believe what he is staring at. There's two old men, one of them with a huge beard, and then one of them with a shotgun mounted to his hand, wrapped in cords around it like a prosthetic shotgun appendage, and a red piercing eye. And you can definitely tell these two old men are definitely different from each other. And as Wolverine says this, as much as everyone who wants to freaking kill the crap out of Wolverine around him, like Maggie and Daryl and everybody else, they have to agree. They're inclined to agree. And then we get something interesting. Both Dales stare each other down, with the older Dale looking in complete shock at what he's staring at. Is this him? He has a shotgun mounted to his arm, where his arm should be, and a piercing red eye. And then he tries to reason with this Dale and ask him who he is. Why is he just like him? Where'd he come from? And then he gets shot straight in the stomach multiple times with the other Dale's rifle and shotgun. And the evil Dale looks on and says, "You dare call yourself Dale? You are nothing like me, and I am nothing like you, and I am more than you will ever be. Now you can rot like the rest." And then he looks on to see he's got a fight coming, because Wolverine has prepared his claws and now has snapped back to that killing state, because this is a very violent Wolverine. And now we get a true battle. For the first time in a long time in this story and omniverse, we get Wolverine, the evil, very powerful Wolverine, against evil Dale. Wolverine roars, and then he launches himself with his claws straight at Dale, who uses his shotgun and his rifle to shoot at Wolverine, but he just goes through the shots, jumps up, and tries to claw at Dale. But then they get into an ultimate... This is kind of like Deadpool versus Wolverine. I'm kind of doing that here. Dale blocks with his shotgun arm and his rifle, tries to block and dodge Wolverine's claws, but remember, just because this is an evil Dale and he killed everyone in that world and everything, yeah, he's still an old man. So he's still slower than Wolverine, but only by a little bit, because this is a very evil and powerful Dale. So, I mean, he's still holding his ground, and he's not getting scratched immediately, but Wolverine is close to clawing out part of his freaking flesh. So, yeah. But then, after blocking with his weapons and failing to land successful shots that seem to damage Wolverine, Dale straight up kicks Wolverine square in the face, launching him up in the air, but Wolverine catches himself on the ground, prepares his claws, and gets ready to strike again. Then we get more brutal fighting, with Wolverine launching with his claws again, but this time Dale throws away his rifle and then attacks with his shotgun arm, blocking with it especially, and an axe. Because remember, Dale used an axe in the show, so evil Dale would have an axe too. Once this seems to not work, Dale distracts Wolverine by throwing the axe straight at Wolverine, which Wolverine cuts it in half with a single strike from his claws. Then Dale flips backwards and then shoots with his shotgun arm. But when Dale looks, he sees Wolverine, this guy, he's still standing? Dale, even this evil Dale, has to look on completely dumbfounded and kind of worried. And then he regenerates. Wolverine just smiles and says, "Is that all you got, bub? You and I are not so different. Violent mercenaries in our worlds. Difference is, you're just a pathetic, frail old man. And I've killed younger, stronger, older, and much more experienced than you." Then Wolverine launches at Dale again and jumps up, roaring, preparing to attack, and slices Dale's rifle into bloody bits. And then he tries to use the shotgun more, but Wolverine is just walking through the shotgun blasts, and it's not doing anything. Then Wolverine jumps again, preparing to attack, but then he's shot again square in the middle of his head. But it wasn't Dale. Then evil Dale looks on and sees someone shot Wolverine. But it wasn't anybody here. It wasn't the people that it wasn't his older self magically surviving. And it's not the people this evil Wolverine has killed. But before he can figure this out, he is shot in the stomach too. And he looks on to see a Colt python pointed directly at his head. It's Rick. Rick and McQueen went through the same portal that the evil Dale did, except it was at different times. The portal that engineered itself and made its way because of all the portals that have been summoned from the beginning of whenever we got the whole story with Rick and McQueen and everything, those two portals along with the Dale one, and then the portals that you've been seeing so far, the red one that magically got engineered and paradoxed into Dale's, destroyed fire world, meant that it also made it so that not only evil Dale saw this in the Cars world to escape, but it also gave Rick and McQueen a way out. So it paradoxed the two or three to meet again. And this gave Rick the perfect opportunity to finish evil Dale. And he tells Dale, "You are nothing like the Dale that I know. You killed my Dale. You killed everyone in your world, even Morgan. You are nothing like Dale. You're a monster. Nothing of what Dale would ever be, want to be. You're just a shell, an evil monster that deserves, needs, and always should have been taken care of. And this time, I'm not going to be nice." And he shoots Dale square in the head. So, not only is the Dale in his world dead now, but the evil Dale is dead too. Wolverine gets back up and says, "As much as I appreciate your help, Bub, I can tell you're affiliated with these people." And he prepares to fight and says, "You shouldn't have shot at me, Bub, because now you are my next victims." And he prepares to fight and gets in a battle stance. But Rick points his gun and says, "You don't think that we can handle you too? There are hundreds of us and only one of you. You don't stand a chance. This is our world." But before they can fight each other, a purple portal summons itself in front of all of them. And then Rick, McQueen, Wolverine, and everybody else stare up as a purple portal summons itself in the sky, this time not on the ground, in the sky. And a giant ship with glowing red eyes at its center, and a very... They know that this is not human. No human could build this ship. And they stare up, but then they see, at the very top, who is up there. Megatron. But they don't know who this is. And he shouts to all of them, "Never would I thought that our space-bridging technology would bring us to an entirely different universe or plane of existence, especially after the deaths of the Autobots and Optimus Prime. But now that we have another world and another universe to explore, the Decepticons' reign of conquest is now not only past the realms of a galaxy and a universe. We Decepticons will rule the multiverse!" And he roars to his Decepticon army, "Decepticons, rise up and destroy them!" And they all look in horror to see Megatron and his entire Decepticon army, Insecticons, Decepticons, and even Predacons, everything, are launching themselves straight towards them. Rick looks directly at Wolverine and says, Your regeneration would be pretty handy right about now. You feel like helping us to take on these robots? Whatever they are. Wolverine says, it seems I actually have to team with you people. But just understand this. When we take care of these medieval gigantic robot creatures, I'll be finishing the job I started. And you'll be joining your friends in a bloody pile of flesh. And with this, McQueen, Wolverine, and Rick lead the charge with everybody and prepare to engage the Decepticon army. Meanwhile, at the other side of the planet, a dark figure emerges without a portal, with long antennae spikes at his head, and a green glowing figure as he enters from the top of the sky in the desert of the Walking Dead world. But at another end of the plane of the omniverse's existence, in Dale's world, a portal, a fiery portal, which blends into the environment, enters a clown. Clown steps through the portal with a sinister smile. But not knowing about the environment, not knowing that there are no victims to feast on, and not knowing that there might be no way out, but knowing he is in a plane of carnage and mayhem. Where will this lead? Who are the figures? What is their agenda? How will the Decepticon war go? You shall find out in the next episode and the continuation of the ongoing, on-growing, and completely unstopping omniverse of Nick.